Xin chào cả nhà đã trở lại với kênh Vũ Cali Cuộc Sống Mỹ. Thì bây giờ gia đình mình đang chuẩn bị lên chiếc xe tram này để đi quanh cái khu vực safari ở sở thú San Diego Zoo. Thì khi mình mua vé đi vào sở thú San Diego thì tụi mình mua luôn cái package là đi lên chiếc xe tram này để người ta chở mình đi lòng vòng ở trong cái khu Safari Park. Safari Park thì giống như là một cái khu rừng ở Africa mà thu nhỏ lại, và họ có rất nhiều những cái động vật hoang dã ở đây ha.
Đông quá trời đông luôn nè cả nhà. Đó, bây giờ mình lên chiếc xe tram rồi nha.
Gia đình của mình đang ở trên chiếc xe tram để họ sẽ chở đi lòng vòng ở sở thú ở San Diego nha. Tour này thì khoảng nửa tiếng nha cả nhà. Ngoài ra mình không có thích đi trên cái tour này thì mình cũng có thể mua cái vé khác để mình đi riêng, giống như là private vậy đó cả nhà. Thì cái private đó thì cái vé đó thì nó mắc hơn ha, và người ta sẽ chở mình lên một chiếc xe truck á, và mình đi rất là gần tới những cái con động vật hoang dã hơn. Nhưng mà khi mình lên chiếc xe mình đi mà private á, thì người ta cũng có nói với mình là nếu như mà trong cái suốt cái chặng đường mà mình đi cái tour đó mà những cái con animal nó có nhảy lên cái chiếc xe của mình thì mình cũng đừng có hoảng sợ, mình vẫn cứ ngồi im ha. Vì nếu mà mình hốt hoảng quá đó thì mấy cái con animal nó cũng giật mình và nó có thể hành động lại, giống như là nó có thể vồ tới mình hoặc là cắn mình, thì nó là nguy hiểm hơn. Cho nên trước khi lên cái tour mà private bằng chiếc xe truck đó thì những cái người hướng dẫn viên người ta cũng có nói với mình hết. Thì cái đó là tùy theo mình, nếu mình muốn thì mình mua vé đi, còn không muốn thì thôi. Nhưng mà mình thấy đi cái vé này thì cũng ok rồi.
So we're going to have a good view of the Delta here on our right-hand side. You can see meter storage and trains down below. So a little local pelican in the water. But just a little bit further, we have these greater flamingos.
Thì mình đi tới cái khúc nào đó thì cái người tour guide họ cũng đều hướng dẫn và giải thích cho mình hết ha.
Quá trời những con hồng hào luôn.
It's also reflecting light away from their bodies, keeping them a little bit cooler in their hot environment.
Quá trời hồng hào luôn.
As we pass through these, as years have gone by.
Hướng bên kia có chiếc xe nó chạy ngược chiều, cái nó đi về đó. Nó đi về xong rồi á. Đây, đưa qua đây coi. Tê giác này cả nhà. Wow.
This species was once thought to be extinct until in 1895 a small population of under 100 was discovered in Africa. Breeding efforts brought that number back up to around 20,000. So it's not the best outlook, but there is still hope for that species. Our conservation scientists have a good amount of frozen genetic material from both male and female northern white rhinos. They also have very little hair on their bodies, making them very prone to sunburn. By covering themselves in mud like that, it acts as a 2-in-1 sunscreen and insect repellent. On a sunny day like today, it is probably more of the former. Falcons are very social birds though, and they will nest together as well as hunt together, swimming out into the water in large groups to try to circle fish. What that does is try to keep those fish contained in one area, and that way they're a little bit easier to scoop up in their bills. As we make our way over the hill, we'll be heading to our South Africa habitat. make our way through South Africa. I just want to point out, it's going to be pretty windy the whole way. So I can't really see the color green. So the same brown is helping them blend in with grass and other vegetation as well. The bottom halves of their bodies are not for camouflage. That's trying to help keep them cool, just like with the greater flamingos. Out in the hot savanna, a lot of sunlight is beating down on top of those gazelles, but it's also being reflected back up from the ground. So that white underbelly is, again, going to act like a mirror. It reflects away as much light and therefore heat from their bodies as it can.
Đó, qua bên đó nữa kìa. Con thấy không?
Playing down near the base of the hill to our left, we have those sable antelope. They're a little bit darker, but that's still being used for camouflage. They like to make their homes near tree lines. So like I said, they live near tree lines, and that means food isn't too much of an issue for them. There's not a whole lot of space under those trees, so they need the horns to help them compete for territory in the shade. Up a little bit further, we have these springbok. They look a lot like Sombring gazelle. They have those black stripes going down their sides. And they'll use those stripes for communication. They can get a good read of each other's moves based off of the angles of those stripes. It's because, unlike the springbok, those Sombring gazelle are a browsing species. And that means they like to eat from trees.
Đó, mấy cái con hươu câu cổ.
If we tried to put them over here in South Africa, that would mean they'd have to try to compete with these Maasai giraffe for food. It's pretty easy to spot because he's taller and
Đó, cả
darker
nhà
than
thấy
the
chiếc xe ở
females
trong
next
đó
to him.
đi không?
He's about 17.5 feet tall.
Đó, chiếc xe bự trong đó. Thì nó cũng là, nếu mà mình muốn đi chiếc xe trong đó thì nó là 95 đồng tức trên một người nha. Thì nó đi gần hơn, nó chạy ở trong khuôn viên nó gần hơn một chút xíu. Nhưng mà mình thấy nếu mà đi chiếc xe tram này thì nó cũng ok rồi. Cũng không có cần đi chiếc xe đó.
On average, their tongues are about 1.5 feet long. The giraffe uses their height not just to reach for high food though, it also helps them people look out for predators. Up just a little bit further, once again on our right hand side, we have Doom the camel. Doom used to be an animal ambassador here at the safari park. Our wildlife care specialist will walk through the park itself, aid and help them out with their conservation talks. Usually talking about conservation in the desert. These days, though, Doom has left that life behind. This hill serves as his retirement home.
Cái lưng nó u cục. Lưng gù.
Back on our left hand side, at the edge of South
Lặp
Africa,
lại
we
là
have
nó cho
these
sa
gum
mạc đó,
blocks.
con biết không, nó carry những cái đồ ấy.
Well, they're lavender
Cái
gray
lưng của nó
color.
là chứa nước
Doesn't
ở
help
trong
them
á.
blend in with grass very well. Their natural habitat is a
con
lot
gì
like
lạ
what we
ha.
have here in the hills of San Diego.
Đây, con gì lạ
Very
vậy?
sparse vegetation and large boulders.
Đó.
They're trying to blend in with rocks. They
Con
don't
gì
put the
đây
white
cả
on
nhà?
their faces. Those
Có
are
hai
called
cái
threat
sừng
masks.
nhọn quắt ở trên nè.
Part of what the black lines are doing in those threat masks, leading up to their horns. It's trying to make those horns seem a little bit larger than they actually are. That'll help them compete with each other. That need to be social. They'd rather stick to themselves because that means they only have to worry about their own protection and their own resources. Like other rhino species, a huge part of the reason that they're endangered is poaching. Some cultures believe that rhino horn has medicinal properties, maybe even curing cancer. So unfortunately, they're often hunted for those horns. Believe it's not true though. If you take a look at your hair and
Xa xa trong đó
fingernails,
có
that's
ngựa
the
vàng
same
á,
material
con
that
này
rhino
con
horn is
zebra
made
đó.
of. The protein called keratin. It has no medicinal value whatsoever.
Ngựa vàng á con.
Up at the top of the hill, we have our bachelor herd of Grevy's zebra.
Đó, quá trời ngựa luôn kìa.
From this far away, you can really tell how closely related they are to the Somali wild ass. They almost the exact same shape.
Đi lên xe này được cái người ta hướng dẫn, người ta nói cho mình, giải thích cho mình nghe rõ ràng hết luôn cả nhà.
The patterns are left hand side. Because not only do we have those
Wow,
zebras
nguyên cái đàn ở đây
walking
luôn
right in
á.
front of us, you can see across both Central Africa and South Africa, all the way down to the lagoon on the other end where we saw the pelicans.
Nó làm nguyên cái thung lũng một cái luôn à anh à.
It really gives us an idea of how much room the animals have here at the safari
Đó.
park.
Giống như là ở Africa vậy đó, làm cái cảnh giống như ở Africa
On the
vậy
right
đó.
hand side is our African forest. That's for the same reason. It helps them compete with each other. As we pass by, take a look at how big the ears are on those antelope. Those really help them out being a forest environment. So after all, if you're in a forest with all the trees in your way, you can't see very far. good eyesight isn't that much of an advantage. If you have good hearing, that'll still work out. You can keep some idea of whatever's going on without having a direct line of sight. Let's come around this corner, we'll get another look at these eastern black rhinos. Rhinos are another animal that rely heavily on their hearing. Most species can barely see more than 30 feet ahead of themselves before it gets blurry. So take a look as you pass by here. Their ears are always scanning around them like satellite dishes, trying to keep track of whatever's going on. While they can't even see us up here on the tram, most likely, they can probably hear every word, not only that I'm saying, but that you're saying as well.
Ha. Núi non hùng vĩ. Phong cảnh tự nhiên núi non hùng vĩ. Đó, con gì nữa kìa.
Right in between the fully grown eland and those water buffalo, 4 of our eland calves were born within the last month or so. I think the oldest is probably 5 or 6 weeks now. Youngest maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Patterson's eland are one of the largest antelope species, standing up to 6 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing up to 2,000 pounds.
Wow, tôi
Because
thấy
against the big,
thao thao dữ vậy hả?
are bigger than some of the smaller antelope we've seen so far, like the springbok or the sombring gazelle. Again, because they are so large, the adults' bodies get very hot. So to help them out with that, they have a couple of things going on. First of all, their coats are very thick, or thin rather. They're so thin you can almost see their skin through them. But they also have a little flap hanging down from their necks. That's called a dewlap. It works a lot like a car's radiator. So blood flows through that dewlap, we can hopefully be cooled at least a little bit by the air. And then it flows back into the inner bodies of those elands, doing its best to regulate temperature as much as it can. From male eland though, some elands become too large for even that dewlap to be enough, so later in life they'll shed hair over your board of directors. We kept after it, and almost a decade later, the breeding facility was founded. A few short years after that, in 1972, the Safari Park opened its doors to the public, becoming its own park alongside the San Diego Zoo. Here we are, 50 years later.
50 năm sau. 50 years later.
Passing back through those gates though, we are returning to East Africa, where our tour began.
Đó. Bây giờ mình trở lại cái cảnh hồi nãy mình mới vô. Là những cái đàn hồng hạc nằm đây. Thì cái tour của mình trên cái Africa Tram này cũng đã hết ha. Giờ chuẩn bị sẽ dừng lại. Thì sau khi ngồi trên chiếc xe tram đi một vòng ở khu Safari Park, thì bây giờ mình sẽ xin ngừng cái video của mình ở đây. Cảm ơn tất cả mọi người đã xem video và ủng hộ. Hẹn gặp lại tất cả mọi người ở những video kế tiếp của Vũ Cali Cuộc Sống Mỹ. Bye bye cả nhà. Bye bye.